Um, Hi, it's Chris. I just thought it would be helpful to do a video version of my frequently asked questions post. Um, so I often get asked, oh, I'm not technical at all. What's the most basic, easy thing that I should do on the genealogy stuff that you've put out? And so my answer to that is to go to your family homepage, whether that's leslie.consultchris.us or kaiser.consultchris.us. Um, these answers are applicable to all the different families that I'm researching. For my example, I'm going to use my Leslie page. If you go to that website and you scroll past the reports and things, you will see a directory list of couples that the research is available for. I'm going to click on Jacob and Eleanor Lepley over here on the right-hand side. And then this very first image that pops up is the photo album. This is free. Even if you don't have a Google account, you can click on this and be popped into the album of images that I've saved that are relevant to this couple. So there's documents in here, there's photos, there's news clippings, censuses, lots of good stuff. And on each of these, you can click on it to make it a little bit bigger. If you happen to be logged in with a Google account, you will have the option to comment on the image. You can also click the info button and be able to see the date. But that's only if you're logged in with a Google account. I believe that when you're not logged in, it's just the image. And then whether or not you're logged in or not, you should be able to download it if you want to do that. If you see an image that you want, you can click left or right to go through it, like an album, like this. Now, the drawback of that is that there is no context given to these documents, so there's not a lot of opportunity here for me to explain the relevance of this document to this couple. So that leads me into the next item from my frequently asked questions post, which was, the next level browsing would be to go to the Mac family tree. So to do that, we again go back to the Lepley page or the family homepage. You can go to the family homepage. That is pretty much your start and stop place. Click on the couple that you're interested in. I'm going to go to Jacob again. And at this time, if you go past the image, you'll see a list of links underneath Jacob's name. And one of them says MacTree. He happens to have two MacTrees, but that's because of space. I had to pull out the Crooks family separate because there was a lot of space-heavy things, and it took up too much space. But either one will work, Jacob. So I'm going to click on MacTree. And here you can see a lot more information pop up about him, about his relationships to other people, and it has events, it has his spouse, children, who his parents were, has dates and places of things where he lived, where he worked. The images, though, they are at the very bottom. So these are all the same images that were in that album, but there is a difference. When you click on it, you can actually get more information about the image. So on this image, it tells me that this was found in the Ohio County Marriage Records, page 282, and it is relevant to these events in Jacob's life. Ties back to the marriage, and it has notes down here and a source citation. Now, it just so happens, so if it were a book and you wanted to see different pages in the book, well, what was on the page before this entry or what was on the page after this entry, there is a link down here that actually takes you to where this image was found, and you can page back and forth in the book. I'm not going to go into that right now because I want to keep this pretty high level. I'll go into that in a separate video. But that's a lot more information about that particular image than what you had before. So to get back, I'm going to go back up to Jacob and maybe click on a different image so you can see that again. I'm going to go down. The images are at the bottom underneath all of the events. And I'm going to click maybe one of these common pleas court things. So again, it gives me a page number and a date. You can see the document here, and then after the document, it says in the notes that Jacob is a member of the jury, and also it has a link to the book that it came out of. It also does have this other event entry, which you can click on that, and it will take you to his event detail for that other event entry, and it says jury duty. It gives it a date. And there's some more media that's all associated with that same jury duty, and you can click on those to see the other pages where he was on the jury duty. Okay. So the next question in my frequently asked questions post is, which link works without any login? So Google Photos, which I just showed you, and the Mac Family Tree, which I just showed you, those both work without any login. You can log into Google Photos, but you don't have to. Another website that works without any login is Find a Grave. So Find a Grave is a website which basically does what it says. It helps you to find a grave. And so it's easy to just show you. So I'm going to take you back to the Jacob page, back to his list of links, and there's a link here for Find a Grave, Jacob Lovely. I'm going to click on that. And I'm not signed in or anything. This is also free, and it takes you to information that is centered around his burial. So it tells you where he's buried, tells you the plot where he's buried, gives you pictures of his gravestone, gives you a little bit of bio information, and it also links you to the graves of his relatives. And you can click on those from here. So I can click on Eleanor, and it will take me to her grave. They share a headstone, so it's the same picture. We can go to one of the children, see her gravestone, and she's buried in the same cemetery. So whether or not they're buried in the same cemetery, they're all linked here, and it's a really helpful website if you are maybe making a Memorial Day trip and visiting some cemeteries and you want to find out who all is buried here and where they're buried. So all free, doesn't require a login. All right. Then we get into the trickier, okay, whether or not they require a login, whether or not they're free. So newspapers. There's a couple different websites that I save a bunch of clips from, and it used to be that if you clicked on the link for those clips, they were all free. You didn't have to have any kind of a login. You didn't have to have any kind of a subscription. That's still true for Newspaper Archive. However, newspapers.com, they are putting a limit on how many free page views you are allowed to have. But I will show you what that looks like. In Newspaper Archive, there is no limit on article views yet, so that's super helpful. So I'm going to show you what that would look like. So here is Newspaper Archive, what a clipping would look like. I am logged in, but you don't have to be logged in to see this. If you have the link, which there are links to those saved on Jacob Lepley, links to specific articles. And here you can read that his home apparently was burglarized while he was at church, unfortunately. Then here's one on newspapers.com. This is a clipping, and it is him featured in a informational, almost commercial type, infomercial type posting, where he is said to have written this letter about his experience in using this particular piece of machinery. So interesting. Yeah, so those are all free and don't require any login. Now, there is another website that does require a login, but it is also free, and it's called Family Search. If you're familiar with Wikipedia, it's very much like Wikipedia, but instead of like limited to just famous places or people, it's for all deceased people. So you get one page per deceased person, and everyone contributes what they have to that single page for that person. Unlike other sites, it's got a single world tree where over 1 billion users can collaborate on shared ancestral profiles rather than maintaining a private individual tree. So to show you what that looks like, I'm going to again go back to the Jacob and Eleanor page, and there is a link to Jacob Lepley's Family Search profile here. Now this one you do have to have a login, but it is 100% free. So I'm going to click on this, and I am, I believe, logged in. Well, it's going to prompt me to log in. But then it should go right through. Okay. So this is Family Search. Multiple people have contributed to this page, so it's not limited to just what I have added, and it has the events similar to the Mac family tree. It has the sources up here on the tabs. It has images which are saved as memories. The big difference between this and Mac family tree is for newbies. You're just looking. You're browsing, and if you're wanting to contribute something without going through me, if you want to edit something or add something or change something, Family Search is where you would edit it, but you would have to log in. So this basically is for people who are a little bit more comfortable with doing that, with doing a little bit more, that they're doing some research in genealogy and that kind of thing. Okay. All right, so going back to my post, so the next thing I list as something you can log into is I go back to the Google Photos. So the Google Photos, you do not have to log in, but if you do log in with a Google account, it will allow you to comment and see other people's comments. So, you could comment on the pictures to add what you remember or provide a correction. Maybe I made a mistake, or somebody else commented that they remembered it differently. You can comment on that, and it will actually the comment will be saved with that photo for reference later. So this is a collaborative album which allows multiple family members to contribute their own scanned images, making it easy to pool resources for specific surnames or research trips. The way that I have these organized is the albums are organized around a deceased married couple. If the images contain anyone who is still living, I either crop out that face before posting it, or I don't post it because of the privacy concerns. And if you're posting comments, please understand that those comments are able to be read by more than just me. So don't post anything on there that would be private information about you or other living people who haven't given, unless they've given permission. But yeah, so the images that are in these albums are for deceased persons only. Okay. And then I did make a comment about, so Ancestry.com technically has a lot of free functionality. I have kind of shied away from it because I find their prompts to purchase subscriptions and other paywall blocks. They have paywall teasers. It's just so disruptive. It's so often, it's so frequent that I just don't recommend it, especially if you're not super comfortable with tech, websites anyways. If you're not, really fluent in genealogy stuff, I find it to be more distracting and discouraging. And so I have been saying, I don't recommend going on there. I know, yes, they do have a lot of free tools, but I don't recommend it unless you are more comfortable with that. Otherwise, you're going to find it really discouraging. Yeah. And then another question that I get is, what are the most used reports or charts? So I do have a lot of charts that I have made that you can't find anywhere else. So I've made custom to a particular family. And the one report that, without fail, if I bring copies of to family get-togethers or whatever, they get snatched up, or I get texts, from somebody who's at a cemetery because they know I'm the genealogist. They'll text me, who all is buried here? So this report, I will send them over text, and it's my cemetery report. So I write out when visiting a cemetery, this report is extremely useful, and I have one for each family group that I'm researching. For each report, it's organized first by state and then alphabetically by cemetery name, and in each cemetery, I list everyone, all that group's relatives, which are buried in that cemetery, along with the section plot information if it is known. So how do you find this report? All right. So again, you go back to this lovely.consultchris.us, or if it's Kaiser, or if it's Herbert, or whatever family group you're doing. You go to that homepage, and at the top you'll see a entry that says cemeteries, and if you click that, it will take you down to the cemetery page. And so on this page, there are I actually have a few different reports of this type. But the one that everybody wants is this one that's really big on the page. It says Places List. So it's alphabetical by state and then by cemetery name. So let me go to Ohio because that's where most of, or a lot of, no, Nebraska. Nebraska will work for this family. So Nebraska, Parkview Cemetery has a lot of lovely people. So you'll see them in here, listed all the relatives that are in that Parkview Cemetery. They're in here then listed by order of burial, so the oldest burial first. And then over here on the right is the section plot information to help you find it if you're actually in the cemetery. It's also interesting to see those that are buried in the same plot. It tells you that there's a relationship because they're buried together. So that is by far a very highly used report. If you want to print out this report or download this to your phone so that if you're somewhere where you don't have cell reception, you have it as a download, you can do that. You see this little pop-out arrow within a box. If you click that, it will allow you to then print it or save it or, whatever have you. So that's super helpful. The other report that gets used a lot is the descendant report, which is also back on the family homepage. So if I go to leslie.consultchris.us and then I go to the descendant poster and click that, it's a very similar type of format. It might take a minute to load, but it loads up in the center here and you can navigate it. This is helpful if you need to orient yourself to where you are in the tree in order to understand how somebody else is related to you. Now, again, this is for deceased people only, so you'll probably be looking up a grandparent or parent, but again, you can at least help orient yourself to understand how these people are related via this tree. And the way that it flows is the patriarch is on the very left side, Jacob and Eleanor is on the left side, and then their children are on the next line down. The next column down is all their children. And then the children of those children then are in the next column to the right as well. So your grandparent is probably on the far right side of the page, and then it goes up through the generations to the left side of the page. This can also be downloaded to your phone. It can also be printed, although it's going to take multiple pages. You may have to tape them together. But again, you just click the pop out and off you go. So that's it. That's everything from my frequently asked questions page. If you want to read through read through it a little bit slower than what I went through, you can get to it via the genealogy help page. It's also on the footer of every page in my website. If you go down to the bottom, it says questions, see help, and you click on that, and then you go to genealogy help, and there's frequently asked questions right there, and you can go through it on your own at your own speed. Hope this was helpful. Bye-bye.